with the pantyhose that doesn't have like now today they have the thigh highs that have like the silicone in them.
Right.
He didn't have these. He was wearing like old fashioned like garters with like, I think the nylons were so old they had like runs and lines up the back of them, right? So it was pretty funny. He had like recycled or triple recycled like lingerie. And some of it was kind of old school style, like where he had almost like Betty Page with a corn hanging out of his rear end. So he'd be standing in the fields taking all these weird photos of himself. I don't know if maybe he had like a camera with like a timer or something. I don't know, but he was pretty fucking hilarious, this guy. And I used to call him, Chiquita Lady, because I didn't know he had so many like vegetables up his ass. This guy, it was like insane. So,
oh my gosh!
So I've had some memorable people use pervertible. What do they call it? Pervertible.
Yeah, but you know what I think is most interesting to me about that story is the fact that you cannot identify a kinky person.
Oh, no,
based on what they look like, based on where they live. You can't say for sure who is and is not kinky.
Right. I mean, sometimes when Cupcake and I are out in public, people will ask us, like, certain things. Like, how do you get him to dress like that? Where can I find somebody like that? And then they don't even look kinky. That's the funny part. They look like two churchgoers, Right. And so it's kind of funny. The churchgoers, I think, are the most kinkiest ones of them all.
Because they're so repressed.
Exactly. Correct. God. Right. Oh,
that's a whole nother thing.
Right. They are absolutely repressed.
Yeah, that's why, I was going to say, that's why so many of them get themselves in trouble. Right. Because, it's fascinating to me that this one place outwardly shames you for being sexual, yet secretly is a whole lot of kinkiness going on.
Right.
Like, to be completely honest, I had not heard of 50 Shades of Grey, except for the fact that I was working in the church back office, and one of the ladies that used to count money with me was like, says, "Oh my God, last night with my husband, I just devoured him." I'm like, really? Okay. And then she tells me, I was reading this book and la-da-da-da, and I'm like, okay. So I look into the book and was like, oh my God, really?
She was reading that smut, and I'm like,
well, and what was hysterical is that I was writing my erotic short stories at that time.
Oh.
And she's, talking about, and it was just good, it was so exciting and had me all hot and just jumped his bones. And I read the book and it was like, that got you excited?
Wow.
Okay.
Well, but you know what's funny though is because to them, 50 Shades of Grey is like erotic porn because they don't really know anything besides missionary style sex.
Right. Exactly. and so what pissed me off is the book very quickly made a right turn down a romantic avenue.
Right.
And never actually became the kinky sex book that they thought it was.
No, I know that. I know. Yeah, they touch a little bit about him blindfolding Anastasia and maybe restraining her, but other than that, that's not really BDSM.
No, because you got a whole lot of people blindfolding their partner and holding their hands. Same thing.
Yeah, so, it's not. They if they were to see the shit that we do,
I know
their fucking hair would fall out of their heads.
There you go. And this is why this is why people were so appalled at R. Kelly peeing on somebody. I'm like, oh, that's what y'all are mad about? You're not really focused on the fact that apparently he's marrying minors and kidnapping people, supposedly. You're mad he peed on somebody. Oh.
Right. I know, it's insane. It's absolutely crazy. But to see, if these church ladies were to be like us, and we either, one, if we have, depending on our mood, if we pee in a champagne glass and give our submissives a nice hot cup of honey nectar straight from the tap, or you can give it to them in a glass and make them drink it in front of you.
Oh, listen, I bought a giant martini glass. Now, apparently it's a decorative centerpiece. I just thought it was the biggest martini glass I had ever seen. And that is its sole purpose. It's its sole purpose in life. That's all it's here for.
Oh. Well, if I had that big martini glass, I would make it a pea-sized punch bowl, and I would give a whole bunch of submissives some straws and let them sit around it and kind of sip on mistress's nectar. Because honestly, that's the best way to get a submissive to listen to you. And they want to consume you so bad. They want to be everywhere where the mistress is, right? So, if they're especially needy, say, okay, you want to be my needy submissive? You're going to sit here and sip out of this nectar punch bowl, and you're going to consume mistress's golden nectar, and you're going to show me undying devotion by doing this.
There you go.
And if they do it, it's a win-win. If they don't do it, they're kind of curious. They might just taste piss for the first time and be like, oh, I can't do that. But I've had submissives who I lived with in the past where I used to pee in their coffee in the morning, and they would drink the coffee.
I love it.
I've had other ones that worked on my roof in the summer where I used to live upstate, and it was really hot, and I made lemonade, and they got a little twang in their lemonade at the same time while they're drinking fucking mistress's hot urine in their cold lemonade.
I love it.
And
absolutely love it.
They'd stand there drinking. They're like, wow, this is really good lemonade, mistress. I'm like, oh, I'm sure it is. Like, you know. So these are the ones you gotta, like, do that stuff with, right? So what they always say is, oh, mistress, I need to consume you. I need to be, you know, like, they want to show their, like, submission. So what a way to get somebody to submit is to force them to drink your urine.
That's a hell of a thing right there.
That's exactly what it is, right? Force them to drink your urine. That shows the mistress, or the master in particular, that this person really wants to submit to you, right?
Oh, yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Exactly.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, because that's not something we do.
No, it's not. Right.
Normally, right? Like,
no.
we even turn up our nose at the idea of doing it for survival.
Exactly.
So to say, you know, like you said, I want to consume you, and be like, all right, here you go. Have at it. Drink up.
Right? So it's pretty funny. But yeah, we don't normally, you're right. I would never drink my own pee unless I was on a fucking desert someplace. But the thing is, especially after eating asparagus, no less. So, I mean, that's like the worst piss possible. Like, eat asparagus, eat Brussels sprouts, then go take a pee and give it to someone to drink. That is like the most repulsive thing ever.
You know, see, I love Brussels sprouts. I may have to save some of that.
Right.
Love Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, you could save it, put it in a thing in the refrigerator, and just top it off every so often. Then when you find a willing submissive, say, okay, you want to consume me? You want to submit to me? Drink this. Right?
Right. Sounds like a plan to me.
Right. So, and then there's other types of stuff where, earlier I was talking about fisting, right? Because Thanksgiving is this coming week, and people are going to be stuffing their turkeys. Why not stuffing your hand up your submissive's ass? Right?
Why not? Right? Why should Tom the Turkey have all the fun?
Exactly. So, I was trying to say that, where fisting had originated and where it came from, and it started like in the 70s, and it took like 30 years for it to evolve into a BDSM thing for a sadist and a masochist to do together.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? So think about it. You'd have to be some serious fucking masochist to want somebody to shove their hand up your ass.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I'm not gonna lie. I've watched videos of this, and I think, the first time I was clutching my pearls like, oh my God. And remember, I did say I was a sadist. Right. So I continued watching and was like, oh, I need to do that.
Yes. Oh, I know. It's pretty. I've never done it, but I've had submissives who I've owned in the past that had it done to them by prior mistresses or masters. And I've met like people in the lifestyle that have either done it or have done it to someone. And and the look on their face when I ask them is fucking priceless. Like,
really?
Absolutely priceless. Like, I knew this person in upstate New York. It was a male dom. I forget his name, but he was a dominant for like 40 years, and he told me he would get these young sub girls and he would fist them. And I said, well, how does one become a fistee? And he just,
right.
He goes, well, they are seriously trained in vigorous anal training, and it's beyond anal training. It's more of like gaping.
Okay.
And you do it like, obviously, you'd have to use like a speculum at first to kind of stretch out like the rectum and like, and then I was like, well, do they take muscle relaxers? This is what I asked him. He goes, in the beginning, probably yes. He goes, I've had some girls take muscle relaxers, but then he says, after he's done it a few times, they're like used to it, and it just kind of opens up. And I said, okay, well, let me ask you this. Have you ever fisted someone to where you gave them an anal prolapse? And he looked at me and goes, no.
Okay.
So, but it's kind of interesting. I knew this mistress who lived in London, and she had this submissive who was like humping everything. Like, he was like, no joke. There was videos. She had videos of him on her femdom site that he was like humping a bedpost, like an old-fashioned like wooden bed knob, I guess, or a doorknob. He was fucking like climbs up on a step stool and like he put Crisco. First he puts plastic wrap on the bedpost, right? Because it was this really large. It looked like a really big anal plug almost. Okay. Like, pretty large. And he was literally going to town, jumping up and down on this fucking bedpost.
Oh,
and
gosh.
I was like, holy shit, does he? I PM'd her, and I'm like, does your sub have a prolapse? She goes, now he does, yes. She goes, yeah, he fucked himself so badly that he gave himself an anal prolapse, and now he has to use a colostomy bag for the rest of his... Yes.
Oh, wow.
So,
that is the extreme.
And this all started with him with his fisting fetish. So he couldn't get off, like, without being fisted.
Wow.
So he took it to the extreme. And, like, yeah, I forget his name, but he had a page on FetLife where he had all these videos of himself on there.
Just
humping everything. Like, I think he used the end of a wine bottle.
Okay.
Like, he put it upside down in this thing, and he, like, straddled a wine bottle, literally.
Lord.
Yeah, that's pretty wide, don't you think?
Yes.
That's wider than a fucking hand and a wrist and a forearm. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I would classify him as an extreme masochist because, and he did it to the point where he got a prolapse, which is terrible.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to now use a colostomy bag? Oh, most definitely.
Right.
I don't want to say you've gone too far because that's your thing. I probably could do something and you could say I've gone too far, but dude, when you now put yourself in that position, you might have gone just tad bit too far.
Right. So imagine him standing there watching videos of people getting fisted or fisting somebody. He's probably like coming in his pants.
Probably so. Like, can't help himself. Like, you know, it probably has become part of the muscle memory and
right.